Cooper Lutkenhaus, 17 years old, still finishing high school in Texas, he stepped onto the track in Oslo against the Olympic champion in the 800 meters. Emmanuel Wanyonyi, 2 global titles. The man everyone calls the king of the event, the gun fired. 2 runners flew down the home straight. Only one would touch the line first. Emmanuel Wanyonyi did not just hold the throne in the men's 800 meters. He had built an empire on it. The 21-year-old Kenyan won Olympic gold in Paris in 2024. He won World Championship gold in Tokyo in 2025. Across the last 3 seasons, he claimed 3 straight Diamond League titles in the event, racking up an astonishing 12 Diamond League wins along the way. Heading into the summer of 2026, nobody in the world had solved Emmanuel Wanyonyi. By the time he arrived in Oslo, he had already broken 1 minute 42 seconds 7 separate times in his career, tied with David Rudisha himself for the most sub-1 minute 42 second runs in history. Even Wanyonyi was not unbeatable in 2026. Earlier that season in Rabat, he finished second behind Britain's Max Bergen, who won in 1 minute 42.98 seconds, while Wanyonyi crossed in 1 minute 43.56 seconds. The king had already been tested once before Lutkenhaus ever set foot on a Diamond League track. Cooper Lutkenhaus had never raced him. The two had crossed paths at the same World Championships in Tokyo the year before, but Lutkenhaus did not make it past the first round that day. Since then, everything had changed. Lutkenhaus won the United States indoor title. He then traveled to Torun, Poland, and won the World Indoor Championships, becoming the youngest individual world champion in the history of the sport. He turned professional with Nike while still attending Northwest High School outside Fort Worth, Texas. By June 2026, Lutkenhaus had won every single one of his races at 800 meters as a professional. 5 finals, 5 wins. He had never lost the event since signing with Nike, but none of those wins had come against Emmanuel Wanyonyi. Oslo would be the first time the two ever lined up against each other on a track. Marco Arup of Canada, the third man in both Stockholm and Oslo, carried his own heavy resume into both races. He won World Championship gold in Budapest in 2023, finished an agonizing 100th of a second behind Wanyonyi for Olympic silver in Paris in 2024, and added bronze at the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo. In one single week, Lutkenhaus would face 2 of the most decorated half-milers alive, back-to-back. 3 days before Oslo, Lutkenhaus made his Diamond League debut at the Stockholm meeting on June 7, 2026. Wanyonyi was not there. He had just welcomed his first child, a daughter, and missed the race entirely. Lutkenhaus sat mid-pack early, in 6th place at the 300-meter mark. He did not panic. He moved up steadily on the outside, pulled into second on the back straight, and powered past Olympic silver medalist Marco Arup of Canada in the final 50 meters. He crossed the line in 1 minute 42.70 seconds. It was the fastest outdoor time in the world that year, and his first ever Diamond League win in his first ever Diamond League race. Arup finished second in 1 minute 43.11 seconds. Algeria's Slimane Moula took third in 1 minute 43.341 seconds. Both men carried Olympic and World Championship experience that Lutkenhaus did not have. None of it mattered once the race reached its final 50 meters. A high school junior had just beaten a field of Olympians on track and field's biggest professional stage. Longtime observers of the sport said it was the kind of jump in level rarely seen from any athlete, at any age, in any country. 3 days later, he would face someone even tougher. The Bislett Games arrived on June 10, 2026. Wanyonyi was back, racing for the first time since becoming a father. He told Olympics.com just days before the race that fatherhood had given him new motivation every time he stepped on the track. Across the line from him stood the 17-year-old who had just beaten his own training partners in Sweden. When the gun fired, Lutkenhaus tucked in behind Wanyonyi and tracked him through the first lap, patient, controlled, waiting. With 200 meters left, he made his move, surging past the Olympic champion. Wanyonyi answered immediately, fighting back stride for stride down the home straight. Neither man backed down. As the line approached, Lutkenhaus dove forward across it. The clock read 1 minute 42.08 seconds for Lutkenhaus. Wanyonyi crossed in 1 minute 42.09 seconds. 1/100th of a second. That was the entire gap between a 17-year-old high schooler and the reigning Olympic and world champion. Marco Arop finished a distant third in 1 minute 43.33 seconds. Norway's Tobias Gronstad ran a personal best for fourth. Australia's Peter Bol clocked a season's best for fifth. Belgium's Elliot Creston, the same man Lutkenhaus had beaten for the world indoor title back in March, finished sixth. Almost every man in the field ran a season's best or personal best, just trying to keep pace with the front two. Wanyonyi later explained how the race unfolded from his side of the track. He had taken it out hard from the gun and led through the opening lap. With 600 meters to go, he started checking over his shoulder for the move he knew was coming. I started the race in front, and after 600 meters to go, I tried to see who was coming to push me, Wanyonyi said. Then I saw him passing me, so then I tried to respond. He said his real goal that night was simply to run a season's best, since the outdoor season was still young. It was a very tough race, and I had to dive for the line to be sure of the win, Lutkenhaus said afterward. I knew he was on my shoulder, and I was willing the line to come towards me. To beat the Olympic champion is awesome, and it means a lot. I have not seen the grazes yet from my dive, but I think they will hurt in the shower later. His time also missed the Bislett meeting record by just 4/100ths of a second. That record belongs to David Rudisha, the world record holder, who ran 1 minute 42.04 seconds at the same stadium back in 2010. Lutkenhaus became the youngest man to ever win a Diamond League race at any distance since the series began in 2010. 2 Diamond League starts, 2 wins, 2 personal bests set 3 days apart. His time in Oslo moved him to joint 14th on the all-time world list for the 800 meters, among every man who has ever run the distance at any age. Cooper Lutkenhaus is now the 3rd fastest American 800-meter runner in history, trailing only Bryce Hoppel and Josh Hoey. Remarkably, he accomplished this as a high school junior, keeping his professional record a perfect 6 for 6 in finals after a thrilling victory in Norway. However, the gap to the sport's absolute pinnacle remains. Emmanuel Wanyonyi, the reigning Olympic and world champion, fell by a mere 1/100th of a second, a margin that could easily reverse in their next encounter. Wanyonyi is also only 21, with his own peak years still ahead. Furthermore, David Rudisha's 2012 world record of 1 minute 40.91 seconds remains over a second clear of Lutkenhaus's best. While historic, 2 stellar races do not equate to ruling the event. The true challenge lies in sustaining this performance through a grueling Diamond League season, where fields grow increasingly lethal. Lutkenhaus still has a senior year of high school before him this fall, but his immediate focus turns to the USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships in New York City this July. September's World Athletics Ultimate Championship in Budapest offers the next massive stage for him and Wanyonyi to clash with even higher stakes. Wanyonyi, undeterred by the narrow loss, is already eager for a rematch. For 1 week in June, a Texas teenager shocked the sport, beating Olympians and the world's best by the width of a single dive. The question is no longer whether Lutkenhaus belongs, it is whether the rest of the world can beat him back.